as we are considering where our breath is. See if you can fill up your middle body, starting down in your belly space, and then allow that breath to grow up into your lungs. Again, just inhaling and exhaling at your own pace. And then on your next breath, we're going to think about, again, starting from that low belly space, filling up that low belly space with air, allowing it to grow up, expanding our sides, coming up into our lungs, and then also filling our heart space. You might feel just a little lift in your heart space as you do that. My encouragement would just be to notice. Again, notice what's happening in your body. When you're ready, we're going to take our hands down towards our sides. We're going to straighten our legs down toward the mat, pointing our toes toward one wall, and then taking those hands up over our head. Let's stretch fingertips to the opposite wall for a full body stretch. Continuing to notice your breath. When you're ready, you can go ahead and, as you exhale, sweep those arms down alongside your body. We're going to go ahead and do that one more time. So inhale, arms up overhead, stretching toes and fingertips in opposite direction. And then as you exhale, go ahead and sweep those arms down alongside your body. We're going to take one knee at a time into our chest. And if you'd like, you can go ahead and rock back and forth across your low back. And we have some really powerful organ music today.
Yeah, the background is out practicing.
I love it.
Want to change your lesson. Thought maybe there was a service.
All right, yeah. That's what it sounds like.
Oh.
All right, when you're ready, we're going to take our arms out to either side, leaving your knees together. We're just going to slowly drop those knees off to one side. And if this feels like too much of a twist, feel free to grab one of the pillows around the room, or you can stack a fist underneath it to create a little bit of space. If you're at home doing this practice, you can always grab a box or a book or something along those lines to stack underneath your knees. If you have a yoga block and you're very fancy, then feel free to do that too. Taking a nice deep breath here. When you're ready, we're going to take one knee at a time back to the center, bringing our arms, our hands to the front side of those knees, rocking back and forth across that low back again. And then when we're ready, taking those knees, dropping them off to the opposite side as you stretch those arms out to either side of your body. Taking some deep breaths. And then taking one knee at a time back to center. Again, wrapping your hands around the front side of your knees, rocking back and forth across that low back. And then coming back to center, we're going to take that left foot down to the mat, leaving the right knee in toward our chest. And then we're going to extend that right foot up toward the ceiling, getting a nice little hamstring stretch here. Feeling the ground underneath you. Feeling that ground supporting your spine. The nice thing about alignment here in reclined positions is that the ground does most of the work for you. We just get to relax into it. And then when you're ready, we're gonna bend that knee, draw that knee into your chest. And we're gonna start to rock that knee from side to side. So we're gonna take it kind of across your body in a gentle angle, almost toward your left armpit. And then you're gonna rotate it out towards your right armpit. And then you're gonna just go back and forth between those two. So we're working the hip joint there, just very gently. And then again, just noticing any sticky spots or places where your hip might catch, or if there's places that are sore, maybe giving that a little bit more attention in that moment. Continuing to breathe as you do so. Maybe one more here. And then coming back to center, extending that foot once more up toward the ceiling, pulling that leg toward your chest a little bit further. And now that our hip is warmed up a little bit, we're going to start to take that leg slightly across the body. This is going to really be a deep stretch for your IT band here that connects your hip all the way down across the outside of your leg to your knee. So just holding it in this little bit of an angled position across your body for a moment. And then we're going to rotate it out to the side, using that right hand for support. Again, only coming down as far as feels comfortable to you. Some of you might like to rest your elbow on the ground as you hold your leg out to the side. And then when you're ready, we're going to start to once again rotate between those two positions. So going across the body at an angle, and then moving very slowly out to the side, getting that inner thigh stretch as well. So we're going from IT band stretch to the inner thigh stretch, continuing to breathe as we do so. Maybe one more of these.
Audrey, should we try to keep our shoulders against the mat?
Yes, that, I think when you keep your shoulders down on the mat, that gives you a natural limitation for where your leg can go. You also can think about keeping your hips rooted into the mat as well. If you start to bring your hips up off the mat, then it becomes more of a spinal twist. And we're really trying to focus on that upper leg area. So we're gonna, that's a great question, thank you. So we're gonna bend that knee, bringing that knee into our chest, then releasing that foot down to the mat. Then drawing that left knee in toward our chest. Just taking a few deep breaths here first. Kind of allowing your body to melt into the floor, just relaxing as you rest and breathe. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and take that left foot up toward the ceiling. I'm just holding this gently. And as a reminder, as we move through these poses, if there's ever a pose that feels like, oh, that doesn't feel good, or you are starting to cramp in a certain position or something like that, you always have the freedom to move your body in a way that feels comfortable to you. So just because I say, here's the invitation to do this pose, doesn't mean that you have to do that pose. Taking another deep breath. And then when you're ready, we're going to bend that knee, draw that in toward the chest. We're going to take that knee, again, across the body slightly, this time toward our right armpit. And then when you're ready, you're gonna rotate that knee out to the side toward our left armpit. And then just rock that back and forth, moving nice and slow. Again, noticing any hinges or hiccups as you move from side to side, being gentle with your body and also with your attitude toward your body. Thinking kind thoughts toward what we're able to do instead of judging ourselves for what we can't do. I think that's one of the gifts that we receive as we get older, as we realize our limitations, maybe how to live within those limitations, and that that's not a bad thing. Maybe do one more of these, out to the side and back again. And then drawing that knee back into your chest, go ahead and extend that foot up toward the ceiling. This time drawing that leg in toward your chest a little bit further if you can. Taking one more deep breath here. And then this time, we're gonna angle that straight leg across the body. Again, just coming as far as feels comfortable to you. So it shouldn't hurt. It might pull a little bit, but then, so that might be a little bit uncomfortable, then that's fine. That's exactly where you wanna be, because you wanna be kind of at your edge. But if it starts to cross over into pain, then pull back a little bit. When you're ready, you can start to switch directions, taking that leg out to the side. Again, as far as feels comfortable to you, we're gonna hold this for a few breaths first. Just releasing that hip. You might notice when you release your hip that your leg starts to feel a little bit heavier. And then when you're ready, starting to go back and forth between those two sides. So angling across the body, keeping your hips and your shoulders rooted into the mat, and then taking it out to the side. Just some nice dynamic stretching here. Going from that IT band and then to the inner thigh. Continuing to breathe. And then when you're ready, coming back to center, pulling that leg in towards your chest, then bending the knee, pulling that knee in toward your chest, then releasing that foot all the way down to the mat. We're going to plant our feet on the floor and start to work our arms down alongside our bodies, as well as work our shoulders down away from our ears. We're going to do some little mini cat-cows first here in this pose. So what that looks like is then we push our tailbone into the mat, which actually creates a little bit of space between our low back and the mat, just a couple of inches. And then when you're ready to exhale, you're gonna push the small of your back into the mat, which means that your tailbone kind of curves under a little bit. And then you're just gonna follow your breath, pushing your tailbone into the mat and inhaling, and then exhaling as you press your small of your back into the mat. Just going nice and slow. Excuse me. Again, paying attention to how that feels in your body. And then see if you can make that just a little bit bigger. When you're ready, we're going to go ahead and come back to a neutral spine. So again, the ground is just supporting your back on the mat. Your feet are flat on the floor. And when we're ready, we're going to start to press those feet into the mat as we lift our hips up toward the ceiling, drawing a line, a diagonal line between our knees, our hips, and our shoulders. Our shoulders are still rooted into the mat. Our feet are rooted into the mat. And our knees are directly above our ankles. So we're not letting those knees kind of splay out to either side. They're not collapsing in on themselves either. Go ahead and draw your attention to your core here, making sure that your core is engaged, but that you're not tightening your core so much that you can't breathe. So there's still movement there, even though that core is really tight and strong. When you're ready, you're going to go ahead and roll down one vertebrae at a time, allowing the tailbone to be the last thing that's released down, drawing those knees in toward your chest. And then here, we're going to go ahead and start to work the soles of our feet towards each other or together. And if you can, you're going to take those hands and start to grab down towards your ankles a little further for a reclined butterfly pose here. So it's the same position. If we were sitting up and doing butterfly pose, we're doing the exact same position, we're just laying down on the mat. So again, this is stretching inner thigh, a little bit of your hamstrings, a little bit of the hips. Continuing to breathe. When we're ready, we're going to release those feet, bring the knees back together, and then have those feet come all the way down to the mat. Taking our arms down alongside our bodies again, pressing our feet into the mat as we lift our hips up toward the ceiling. Coming back into bridge pose. Here we're going to actually, if you can, the invitation is to shift your weight to the left foot. And if you can, you're going to start to draw that right foot up off of the mat and lengthen that leg. Continuing to breathe. And then go ahead and bring that foot back down. Great job. And then roll that spine all the way down to the mat. Bring those knees into the chest. And then start to work those soles of your feet together again, bringing the ankles toward your body. Today, the invitation for our meditation is really a question about the things that we hold true or that we believe at a core level. There's a guy, Ken Wilber, who says at any given point, we can really only consider about 5% of what we believe. We can only start to ask questions about 5% of it. Otherwise, it just feels too much and too overwhelming. Go ahead and start to work those feet back down to the mat. This time taking your arms down alongside your body. Again, we're pressing our feet into the mat, lifting our hips up toward the ceiling, having a really good base here, drawing that belly button in toward the spine. And once you're set here, start to shift your weight to the right foot. Taking that left foot up, extending that angle of your body out further. Holding this for a breath. And then drawing that foot back down, allowing that vertebrae to come down to the mat one at a time. And then drawing those knees in toward your chest. Go ahead and take the soles of the feet together once more, drawing the ankles in towards your body. Taking a nice deep breath here. And then when you're ready, if you would like, you can deepen this stretch by taking your hands to the outside edges of your feet and then taking the soles of your feet up toward the ceiling for happy baby pose. If this does not feel comfortable for you, that's totally fine. You're welcome to take a different position in your body or to flip over into child's pose or onto your side. And when you're ready, you're going to release those feet down, bringing those feet all the way down to the mat once more. We're going to lengthen our legs again, stretching our arms up over top of our heads for a full body stretch once more, inhaling deeply. And then as we exhale, taking those arms down alongside our bodies. This time, we're going to take the right foot to the mat, bending that knee. We're going to take that right knee across our body. So you might need to roll over to your side a little bit to do this. So your knee is resting on the mat. If you'd like to kind of create a little pillow for yourself with your arm, you're welcome to do that. And then we're going to take that top arm, reach up towards the ceiling, and then start to allow that to go back behind us for, again, another spinal twist. Hi, guys. Thanks for coming. Again, just come in as far as feels comfortable to you. If this is bothersome to like your bicep or to your arm, you just shorten the lever. So that means you bend your arm in towards your body and just lead with your elbow instead. Again, feeling the support of the ground beneath you. And then drawing that arm back toward the top. We're going to roll back to our backs. And then take the other side. So we're going to lengthen that right leg, bend the left. We're going to turn towards the other side, roll over to the other side as we take that left knee down to the mat. Again, creating a little cushion with our right arm, and then extending that left arm up toward the ceiling and allowing that arm to fall back behind us as we twist gently on that spine. And again, if this is bothersome to your arm, go ahead and just bring that arm in, lead with your elbow. Taking a nice deep breath here. When you're ready, you can draw that back to the side, and then we're going to roll back to our backs once more. We're going to draw our knees in towards our chest, and then either you can rock yourself up from this position, or if that's not comfortable for you, you can bring your knees to one side and then gently push yourself up into a seated position. So here, if you want to sit nice and tall, feel free to close your eyes or soften your gaze. Think about bringing those shoulders down away from your ears. Think about rooting into the mat through your sits bones. So feeling the balance of those sits bones on the floor. We're going to take our hands to the front side of our knees. We're going to open up our chest, leaning forward. And then as we exhale, we're going to go ahead and lean back on our tailbone, arching the back, tucking the chin. And then go ahead and follow your breath through that. So opening up your chest, looking up toward the ceiling as you inhale. And then as you exhale, sitting back, tucking the chin, arching the back. Doing maybe 5 or 6 of those. Really stretching in through those shoulder blades if you can. And then coming back to center. We're going to go ahead and take both legs out to either side for a wide open A. I'm going to encourage you to start to walk your hands forward on the mat. And if you can, think about hanging from your hips. So we're sitting nice and tall, and then we have our hands on the mat, and then almost like our whole upper body was just one plank, we're moving forward that whole thing at the same time. So instead, the alternative would be rounding down like this. So think about hinging from your hips if you can. That might mean that you don't go down as far as you are maybe used to, but that's okay. You're gonna feel a deeper stretch in the inner thigh right here.
May I ask another question?
Yes, of course.
What if you do it this?
Yes, you absolutely can. If that feels too
Like to hinge further.
Yeah, that's totally fine. If that if you need to adjust this, you can bring one foot in at a time and hinge forward. You're still getting that inner thigh stretch. Absolutely. You just want to do both sides to see if you can keep them even.
Right.
So one of the things that I have for us as we consider today are 5% of what we believe, or the things that we might need to examine for today. One of the things I had was a quote that comes from a friend who recently did a training, and this quote says, "Intentions are invisible, but impact is not." And so the invitation today again is to think about what are the intentions that we have that maybe we're not acting on, and what is the impact that we're having either on ourselves or on the world around us. When you're ready, you can walk your hands back to center. We're going to draw those feet together, this time doing our butterfly pose in a seated position. Again, if you need to bounce those legs, feel free to do that, or you can lean forward and press those elbows into the thigh to help stretch those knees down to the mat. So intentions are invisible, but impact is not. So again, it gets to this idea that there are certain things that we can maybe believe or truths that we say we hold to, but maybe there are ways that we need to bring that into alignment with the actions that we're taking in the world. When you're ready, you can roll yourself up. We're going to take our knees, or we're going to get onto our knees, rather. So whichever way feels most comfortable for you to do that, feel free. We're going to kind of round ourselves up on our knees here. If you need to roll up your mat in order to do this, feel free to do that to make it a little bit more cushy for your knees. Here we're going to think about standing on our knees nice and tall, thinking about softening that tailbone down, pulling that belly button in toward our spine again. Think about elongating that spine, shoulders are back and down. And then when we're ready, we're going to take our hands and put them in the small of our back. Almost like if you were wearing pants with pockets, you would be tucking the tips of your fingers into those pockets. And then here, we're going to draw our elbows toward each other. Open up that chest as we look up toward the ceiling. Feel free to stay here in this modified camel pose, or if you'd like, you can start to shift your hips forward, deepening that back bend. And if you'd like to deepen it further, you can then start to take your hands back towards your heels and start to grab for your heels. Again, if that's not comfortable, don't do that. Just stay where you are comfortable. Then working yourself up out of that pose, we're going to shift our hips back onto our heels and then stretch our arms forward down into child's pose. Nice and slow. Here, we're going to take our hands, spread those fingers as wide apart as you can, and then think about pressing your palms into the mat, and then pulling yourself up onto all fours. You might need to shift your knees a little bit so that way they're underneath your hips. Shift your palms so that way they are underneath your shoulders. And then here, finally, we've come to our full version of cat-cow. We've done this in a reclined position, in a seated position, and now we can do it here in the full version as well. So we're going to drop our bellies down toward the mat, allowing the tailbone to come up, allowing the crown of the head to come up as we inhale. And then as we exhale, tuck that tailbone, allow the arch to come up through the back, and then tuck your chin. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and move back into cow. And then as you exhale again, go ahead and arch up into cat. Doing this in as little a way or as big a way as feels comfortable in your body. When you come down into cow, think about pressing your rib cage down toward the mat. And then when you come into cat pose, I'm going to encourage you to think about stretching in between those shoulder blades. And then go ahead and come back to our neutral pose here. We're going to go ahead and walk our hands just a few, maybe 6 to 12 inches forward. And then we're going to shift our hips forward so that way our hands are still directly underneath our shoulders, but we are making a diagonal line once again from our shoulder to our hips to our knees, kind of like we did earlier with our bridge pose in reclined position. So this is modified plank. Taking a deep breath here. Thinking about really pushing the mat away from you in this pose. And then when you're ready, go ahead and work yourself all the way down to the mat. Leaving your hands there, we're going to gently push our upper bodies away from the floor for cobra pose. And then releasing that all the way down to the mat once more. This time, I'm going to actually reposition myself on the mat here just for a second. 1 second. This time, we're going to go ahead and take that left arm underneath our head, kind of like a pillow. We're going to take that right arm straight out to the side of us. Then we're going to take our right knee and bring that up to the side as well. As a little kid, this is how I used to sleep all the time. And then when you're ready, we're going to bend that elbow, drawing that hand in toward our body. So we're going to tent up on our fingers. So that means just our fingers are touching the mat or the ground. And then if you can, start to push away, getting a little gentle stretch on that shoulder. And then coming back down, extending that right arm straight out again. Allow that right knee to come down toward the mat. We're going to switch sides, so Right arm comes in like a little pillow. Then our left arm goes straight out to the side. Left knee is bent and out to the side. And then we draw that hand straight into our bodies as we bend the elbow and tent the fingers. And then if you would like, you can start to push the floor away a little bit. Getting a nice like mini stretch on that other shoulder. And then relaxing that back down, extending that left arm out, taking that left knee down, bring both hands underneath your shoulders once more. We're going to go ahead and push up into our modified plank. We're going to shift our hips back just slightly. We're going to leave our hands there in front, and we're going to see if we can step our left foot forward between those two front hands. You might need to kind of work at that, or you might need to come up all the way and then come back down. That's fine, however you can get there. So we've got both hands toward the front of the mat. Our foot is between. We're going to allow our hips to release a little bit, kind of sink down into this low lunge. And when we're ready, we're going to start to walk our hands back, shifting our weight back to that back knee as we allow the front toes to come up toward the ceiling, coming into half split. And then shifting that weight to the front foot, walking your hands forward, coming back into that low lunge. And then again, shifting the weight to the back knee as you walk your hands back, allowing those front toes to come up toward the ceiling. And I'm going to encourage you to just come back and forth between these two poses. So I'm going to inhale as I come forward, kind of thinking about bringing my heart in between my two shoulders. And then I'm going to exhale as I move back, really crunching down, getting a nice stretch on that hamstring. Again, just following your breath. Going at your own pace. Maybe doing 5 or 6 of those. And then coming forward, so that way we are back into our low lunge once more. We're going to take both of our hands to the inside of the front foot and heel toe that foot out to the edge of the mat. And then if you would like, you can kind of roll out to the outer edge of that foot, getting a nice stretch on your ankle as well. If that doesn't feel comfortable, then make sure that you leave that foot planted on the mat. And then go ahead and as you exhale, heel toe that foot back to center, bringing your hands to either side once more. This time we're going to shift our hips back, but we're going to see if we can actually sit down. So first we're going to sit down kind of on that back heel and then bring that back heel underneath us. And then extend both feet to the front. We're going to come into staff pose first by pressing our hands into the mat. Again, thinking about the mat underneath us, the grounding that provides, the base from which we get to explore. And then inhale, both arms up. And then exhale all the way forward, rounding down over top of the legs. Releasing all the little muscles in your low back. When you're ready, you can start to walk those hands back to center. We're sitting nice and tall, pressing our hands into the mat once more. And then go ahead and inhale, both arms up. And then go ahead and round down over top of those legs again. When you're ready, you can go ahead and walk those hands back to center. We're gonna sweep our feet to the side, come back up onto our knees. And rounding ourselves up. And then again, we're gonna make sure that our knees are kind of hip width apart. The tops of our feet are on the mat. Again, that's our grounding piece that we have here. And then thinking about elongating our spine and drawing our hands to the small of our back. As we draw our elbows together, open up the chest, looking up. Pausing if this is comfortable for you, or shifting your hips forward, deepening that back bend. Then coming up out of that back bend, shifting our hips back onto our heels, and then reaching forward with our hands for child's pose. And then pausing here, returning to our meditation for today. This quote that says, "Intentions are invisible, impact is not." When you're ready, I'm going to spread those fingers wide again, press our palms into the mat, coming up onto all fours. This time we're going to skip the cat-cow and walk those hands forward slightly, coming into our plank pose. Then lowering ourselves all the way down to the mat, pressing up into cobra. Drawing those elbows in towards your body, lowering all the way down to the mat. Taking a nice deep breath, this time pushing up into cobra. Then shifting those hips back. This time we're going to step forward with that right foot. Coming into low lunge on the other side. Just taking a nice deep breath. Allowing your hips to kind of adjust in this pose. And then when you're ready, walking those hands back, shifting our weight to the back knee, allowing the front toes to come up toward the ceiling. Pausing here, feel a really nice hamstring stretch. And then walking those hands back forward again, allowing those hips to fall down into place. And then again, going at your own pace, shifting back and forward. Again, when I come forward, I'm gonna think about drawing my heart in forward through those shoulders as I inhale. And then as I exhale, I'm gonna think about exhaling and rounding down over that extended leg. Going at your own pace then, following your breath. In yoga, the breath always goes first. Kind of like in spiritual things, the spirit goes first, right? Try to follow the spirit. You're probably doing 5 or 6 of those again. And when you're done with your 5 or 6 rotations, you're going to come back to the front again. We're going to take both hands to the inside of that front foot, heel toe that foot out to the side so we can come just a little different here. If you'd like, you can roll to the outside of that front foot to get a little stretch on the top of your foot, but also on the outside of your ankle. And if that's not comfortable, always feel free to keep that foot flat. Then heel toeing that foot back to center, taking one hand to either side. This time we're going to shift our weight back, We're gonna keep going, seeing if we can sit all the way down, first on top of that heel, then behind it, allowing that foot to come through all the way so we can come into our staff pose. We're gonna press our palms into the mat, toes are up toward the ceiling, spine is lengthened. And then go ahead and inhale both arms up, and then round down over top of those legs. Sadly, it feels like sometimes in our culture, certainty is such a prized possession.
What is it, Christ?
Certainty, and so we think that if we are certain, then we are right. And so sometimes it's important to reconsider some of those things that we are so certain about. And as we do that, a lot of times we'll have confirmation, right? Of, yeah, that really is true. Or, oh, I need to take a look at that again. When you're ready, you're gonna walk your hands back toward your body, sitting nice and tall, pressing those palms into the mat once more. And then go ahead and inhale both arms up. Last time, forward fold, rounding down. And walking those hands back to center. We're gonna go ahead and come to a laying down position once more on our mats. As you lay here, we read a little bit more of what my friend mentioned. She says, if we cannot recognize that we might be wrong, we will inevitably have negative impact based on well-intentioned following of some core truth or core belief that we saw as truth. Injustice thrives in the spaces where we are not willing to stretch. So let me read that one more time for us. She says, if we cannot recognize that we might be wrong, we will inevitably have negative impact based on well-intentioned following of some core belief we see as truth. Injustice thrives in the spaces where we are not willing to stretch. So here I'm going to encourage you again to bring your knees in toward your chest, to rock back and forth across that low back. And then taking those knees off to one side. Go ahead and stretch those arms out to either side for a reclined spinal twist again. One of the really cool things that I think about, as we're doing this grounding practice, is that we all need a firm foundation from which to operate. So as we kind of explore some of the 5% of what we can today, the encouragement is not to, throw out the baby with the bathwater, so to speak. We still have the foundation from which we're working, but to consider some of the things that, the ways or the intentions that we have or the beliefs that we have, to see the impact of those on the people around us or the impact on ourselves, and just to consider them. When we're ready, we can go ahead and take one knee at a time back to center. And then leaving those knees together, we're going to drop them off to the other side for reclined spinal twist on the other side. When When you're ready, you can go ahead and take one knee at a time back to center. You drop those feet down to the mat. This time we're going to heel toe those feet together, bringing the soles of the feet together, allowing the knees to open up to either side, coming into reclined bound angle. And here you can stay here, or you can draw your hands down along and your arms alongside your body. If you'd like, you can take your hands to the outside of your thighs for a little bit of support. And again, if this is not comfortable for you, then feel free to just change the position that your body's in. And taking those hands to the outside of your thighs, if they're not already there, go ahead and help those knees together, bringing the soles of the feet back to the mat. We're going to leave the soles of the feet on the mat, leave the arms down alongside the body. We're going to start to do those mini cat-cows again. So pressing the tailbone in as we inhale. And then exhale as we press the small of the back in. Again, following your own breath. Inhaling as you press the tailbone in and exhaling as you press the small of the back in, releasing the tailbone up off of the floor. Maybe doing one more set of those. Then coming back to neutral. And go ahead and take one leg at a time back down toward the mat. Allowing the feet to fall open. Allowing the legs to relax. Thinking about keeping your spine neutral. Allowing it to be supported by the floor beneath you. I'm going to take a few moments of silence here, or just to listen to the organ that's playing in the background. And then I'll call us back together. When you're ready, you can start to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. If you'd like, you can roll to one side and then push yourself up into a seated position. And then when we're ready, if you'd like to go ahead and open up your palms on your knees or put your hands over your heart, you're welcome to do that. And let me pray for us as we close. God, we thank you that your impact on us is not invisible. Lord, that we can bodily sense your presence, that our minds and hearts feel at peace with you here. God, would you continue to reveal to us the places maybe where our intentions are not in line with our actions, the places where we can see the impact that we're having and where
we need to reconsider some of those maybe foundational or core truths that we've believed for so long. God, would you guide us in that practice? And would you continue to lead us in your truth? We love you and we go in your grace today. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Audrey.
Thank you.
I have heard that quote recently. Where is it from?
You know what? I have that from